Hi guys, welcome back to the Hollywood Actors Guide to Surviving the Film and TV Industry. This is your host, Jennifer Lynn Warren, out here in Los Angeles, here today to talk to you about comedies and sitcoms. I'm sorry I have been absent for a minute. I am producing my short film called Jimmy, and production is being held up at the moment because we are having trouble finding a location. We need a house or even an apartment, something with 2 stories that has a wooden staircase like you would find in the Midwest or the Northeast. Like it's, something I'm thinking of from my childhood home that I just thought were everywhere because they were when I was growing up in Pennsylvania. But apparently they're really difficult to find here in Los Angeles. So if you have any leads of where I can find a wood staircase and you'd be willing to let us use it for some maybe associate producer credit or, send us a day rate. We have production insurance, so everything's insured. But, reach out to me, HollywoodActorsGuide@gmail.com. Let me know if you have any leads here in Los Angeles for a wood staircase that we can come in. Very small crew. There'll be like 6 people total, including the actors, to come in and shoot this guy. So today I've got comedy on the mind. So I'll specifically talk about sitcoms, but I'm thinking about it because I have an audition today for an animation for a Netflix show, and it's an adult animation, so it's adult content. And I'm thinking about it because I feel like there's a lot to the script that also relates to going out to audition for anything that's comedic and anything that's sitcom. I find a lot of it's very similar. So I'm here to remind myself and to help you guys out for your comedy and sitcom auditions. So the first thing to think about is logic is not funny. I am such an A-type personality that I try to make everything logical. In fact, as an actor, one of the things I pride myself in is I can justify anything a character does. And it's just this weird skill that I have in life, pretty much. But when you're dealing with comedy, a lot of times these characters are doing things that are illogical, and that's what makes it funny. It's illogical that Sheldon on Big Bang Theory has to sit in the same spot every time in the living room, but it's funny. It's illogical on Seinfeld that his friend dates the most gorgeous women in the world but always finds a way to mess it up. But that's what makes it funny. And if you think about any sitcom out there, like Modern Family, it's completely illogical that the dad is married to that really hot woman. Oh gosh, I am so bad at names. I should have looked this all up, but I'm helping your brain work out too, because you're probably screaming the names at me from your car as hopefully you're driving away from, your last show that you booked and you just shot it and you're like, why don't you remember what these characters' names are? But anyway, it's not logical that I did not look up the names of these characters before doing my podcast today. So it is kind of funny that I don't know it, because here I am trying to talk about acting to you guys. So I do apologize, but here we are. Anyway, so if you're looking at your script and sometimes if it just doesn't seem funny to you, sometimes it's because you're trying to make it logical when it's not. You always also want to stick to the words on the page verbatim. Do not change any words of the script. Now, my advice is different when it comes to drama, even maybe dramedy, depending on, the moment that your character is playing. But comedy writers stay up late at night and they agonize and they drink a lot of Red Bull because they need it to be word perfect funny. And the words that they choose, like they agonize over the right words to use for what they think will be funny. So you don't want to downplay their agony and then change it, even if you think it's funnier, unless they tell you in that room or they tell you to do a second take and quote, make it your own. That is the only time that you can change the words in a comedic audition. So be word perfect on your audition. Also, your energy level. I see so many of you guys come into a comedy audition and your energy is through the roof because you're mimicking what you think you see on TV for a sitcom instead of understanding that it's simply a heightened energy level that's still based in what would be natural for you on a day that you're just simply excited and like super awake. So think of a day and you know, sitcom actors, you guys have to take care of yourselves, you know, because you can't go in groggy and tired because it just requires so much of you on the day for a sitcom. So you need to go in well rested, not too jittery on too much coffee, guys. Be careful with that as well. But you need to think of a day where you are naturally where you're just really awake and you're just really aware of the world and you're just like in it and you're excited to be out with friends and like you're feeling super social. That's kind of the energy level that they're looking for from you in the room. Something that you should do is download the script of a show that you like to watch or would like to watch, something that's been on for a while, so the scripts would be really easy to find. So let's use Friends for an example. So let's say you find an episode or a script from Friends online. What I want you to do is before you watch the episode or rewatch it, so make it something that you haven't seen in a while, I want you to read that script and try to figure out where the jokes are, like highlight where the jokes are. Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. Take a highlighter, highlight the jokes where you think it's going to be really funny when you watch the show, or at least kind of funny. I mean, you got to know that your taste is your taste, and there are going to be other people that are going to laugh at parts that you don't. So you have to have an open mind and realize, okay, so that's probably funny to somebody for, you know, whatever reason. Don't just stick to your own taste as far as comedy. And then once you've done that, go and watch the episode while you're reading the script and see how the actors have manipulated their rhythm and their cadence, which, you know, about the same thing, and how they make the jokes work, especially in places where you did not see the joke. Because you need to get good at seeing the places that not all actors are going to see the joke, because that's what's going to get you work in sitcoms. If you know the formula of how to find the comedy in a script, you can work in sitcoms. And it's going to, you know, the thing is, like when you watch sitcom shows, it's not always the greatest actors on these shows, but I'll tell you what, they hit the comedy every single time. They hit those punchlines. They know the formula and they deliver it the way that the writers and the directors want it and the way the audience needs to hear it. And so they work all the time. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to get into a comedy class or a sitcom class. The class in Los Angeles to take is Leslie Kahn. I've actually done some of her intro stuff. I would love to personally take her sitcom class. It is on my list of things. It does require a huge time commitment in her class, so I'm trying to figure that out. So I'm hoping they have something like in the winter time when it's a little slower for auditions, but I need to work on my sitcom material, so I'm hoping to take her class around then. But it's very few people can do this naturally. It's something you do learn. Another good thing to know is the difference as to whether or not you are doing a multicam or a single cam. Sometimes your audition will just tell you, and sometimes you kind of have to figure it out. And if it is a little trick is if it's written professionally, multicams tend to be double spaced and single cams tend to be single spaced. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go back to your English class in high school. So, you know, just look up double space versus single space on Google if you don't know what I'm talking about. But that is one way to figure out if it is a multicam. Multicams are also shot in front of a live audience. So it's important that you can stay calm under pressure and calm in front of people who are going to be responding to you in real world time as you perform. Right? So if you have not done any theater or stand-up comedy and you really are dying to be on a sitcom, guys, I tell you, you've got to do some live theater so you can figure out like how you can deal with that energy and stuff on the day of, because they're not going to have time to be calm with you because they only have a short amount of time to shoot what they have to shoot, because that audience is only going to have so much patience to sit there for so long waiting for you to get it right. So a multicam will usually only do like 3 to 5 takes at most for a scene, and then that's it. You're done. That's all you have. You don't have all day to work on your material. You've got to be there. You do usually get a pretty decent amount of rehearsal time during the week with the script, and then there'll be rewrites, and sometimes you're relearning stuff on the fly. And if you think that's all crazy and you're not sure if you can handle it, or if you can't visualize what I'm saying, if you're in New York, Los Angeles, I think even Chicago and some other places in the country, find places where they are shooting sitcoms and get a ticket and go watch the show. And the great thing is the tickets are free. They are dying for people to come and sit in these shows. Now, some of the ones that are super popular, like I tried to get into the Big Bang Theory for a couple years, and those tickets would sell out immediately. People would just jump on them. But there are other sitcoms that not quite as popular, but still really good. Get a ticket, and you'll be able to like watch the director work with the actors, see how the cameras work, and it is such a good education for free that you can go ahead and go and do. Now, a lot of times to be funny, you have to be wrong. That is another little trick in the script for those of us that like to be perfect or like to play strong characters tend to trip over, and I'm talking out of experience. So make sure that you are not trying to fight to be the quote winner of a scene, if that makes sense. Sometimes you just have to be wrong, but play it like you have no idea that you're wrong, obviously, right? And a lot of times in these scripts, there's also going to be like 2 events that are going to happen in a row that's going to create a pattern. And the third event is what's going to really, really get the laugh. It's called the rule of 3s. And the rule of 3s is something that you want to mark in your script. A lot of times, like if I see a pattern, I will literally write 1, 2, 3 to mark those patterns to see how often it's used in those scripts for those writers. Another thing to do, especially if you're going in for a live audition or you get a chance to do more than one take for your self-tape, is to play it exactly how you think that they are going to cast it. Right. So if it sounds like that the character is this doctor and he's just like really sweet and nice, but he's really dumb, and that's the comedy, you want to play it, dumb. No character thinks they're dumb. Don't forget that. But you want to go ahead and play it the way you think they're going to cast it and have that solid. And then when you go back and do it again, a great comedic device is completely play the opposite of how it's written. So instead of playing this dumb doctor, you play this doctor like he or she is the most brilliant person in the world, and it actually usually works better. Now, another thing with comedic timing that tends to fall flat with newer actors is that you guys don't have a sense of consistent rhythm. So this is another good reason to go and watch a sitcom while you're reading the script as well, because you're going to be able to sit there and kind of mark the rhythm. You're going to notice that it's almost like to a drum beat, the way these actors will have the comedy down, of like when to hold for laughs and things like that. And it's like a heartbeat. It's like a da-da, 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 da-da. And you'll start to feel it in the script and in the scene. And if you can feel that, especially when you go in and you start testing with other actors that know comedy as well, that's when they're going to be like, oh, they have good chemistry, and you're going to get that chance to possibly book it. And that is what we're here to do, right, guys? We are here to book it. All right, so that is all I have today on sitcoms. This actually went a little longer than I thought it would. Woohoo! I'm glad. I hope it is packed full of information for you. Thank you so much. If you guys want to give me a follow on Instagram, it's Hollywood Actors Guide. My personal is Jennifer Lynn Warren. Thanks so much for listening, guys. If you can leave a review on iTunes, I will love you forever. It's free to do. I want to keep this podcast free and I want to keep it going. It's free for you to listen to, but it is not free for me to make. You have to pay money to produce a podcast, in case you didn't know. But thank you so much for listening, guys. Break a leg out there, and remember, you are not alone.